Go ahead, Susie. Now you can reintroduce Paula.
Yeah, something has been interfering, but we're gonna push through, and it's just because there's three of us right here, and we are all very high vibrating individuals. So
yes, we are.
I think this time it's gonna take, because we were not gonna let it interfere, because this is a message that really needs to get out, and we are
agreed.
going to share this message. It's happening, you guys. Okay, so today we have a special guest, and she's a wonderful woman. Her name is Paula Ruppert, and she works with soul realignment. And we want everyone to know about this modality. I had it done. Jara had it done. Jara's freshly had it done. I had it done a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and it was
Well, it's a process.
life-changing. It's so validating.
It's like being
it's a process. I still have more to do. I'm not even done yet.
Right.
So this
that
is
makes
Paula,
me so happy.
And Paula, we really want you to one more time give us your definition. You probably know by heart your words now, because we had to do this so many times. But please tell us one more time.
Soul realignment is a discipline for each individual person to experience their own divinity, period. And so what I love about soul realignment is that it's not dogmatic. It does not ask you to believe for faith. It is truly about you learning universal concepts of energy and applying them as you understand your own divinity. And the empowering process in that is undeniable. So nobody's asking you to believe me. I'm just saying, this is what I see. This is how our discipline taught me to see it. Hopefully that's of value to the person. And then they get to make their own choices because of that information. We currently are in a period of space and time. We're in a third dimensional reality, right? So that is the reality of form. That is the manifestation of form. But it's also the manifestation of divine ability to manifest. And when we understand that we are divine beings and we understand who we are as divine beings, then we get to manifest that in unending abundance. And that's the whole point, is that when we are going tit for tat and, we're trying to overcome power with greater power, eventually you end up at a stalemate of some sort. When you have unending abundance, it's because you're choosing your actions based on who you are as a divine soul, which gives you more energy to continue to create in such a way. It would be called being blessed, right? Because you know who you are as a divine soul and you choose to enact on that based on that knowledge. It can only benefit you and everybody else around you, period. Because when you're in your divine brilliance, you open up those doors to the people around you, full stop, period. And I have had the great ability to use this in my life for the past 7 years. I had really sick kids who Western medicine didn't have a lot to offer by way of helping them be better. Sometimes they could offer drugs that would stop certain symptoms, but then make other symptoms worse. So for me, I got into this discipline because I wanted to manifest health and I wanted to know how to do it. And I didn't want to put it in the hands of a psychic or anybody else. I wanted to understand the principles that people were making their decisions on. And I found soul realignment, and it is full stop the most powerful thing that I've ever experienced, because it does allow you to see your benefits as a soul and where you're not quite living up to it. And not from a standpoint of shame, but from a standpoint of understanding, oh, I'm doing this, but I'm getting this. So the intention and the action are out of sync. And when you learn to link those two for your own benefit, the possibilities are endless. Truly. They are.
I think that what you do to help and you're going to help so many people. I can see it. How you break things down to help somebody understand themselves, like what you said about me, just for those watching. So how it actually works, if you're like me, I'm a person who has to understand it for me to get it. So I gave her my name, my first and last name, when I was born, and my first and last name now, and my date of birth. I did not even give her the time of birth, you guys. So that's it. That's all I gave her. That's it. Nothing else.
And you gave me a question. And
a question.
The answers come from your question, right?
Right. And I gave you a question. And can I share that? Am I allowed to share that?
Yeah, if you would like to. It's up to you. I would never share it because we have an alliance of trust. So I would never be allowed to share it. But if you want to share it, that's up to you.
I do, because I want, it's not like I am totally open, and I feel like sharing it might help somebody understand it, and that might lead them to getting the help, because you're going to help a lot of people. So you helped me rephrase my question, because I wasn't quite sure really how to ask it. So I'm going to ask it the way that you suggested. And let's see, hang on, bear with me just a second. Okay, so it was, okay, why am I unable to see myself and all of my gifts accurately? Okay, so just that was my question. And I gave her, like I said, my names and date of birth. And what she said to me, and this is, again, a process. So I'm just learning about all this. This is the beginning. But the things that she said to me were so spot on about how I feel right now and how I'm relating to things around me, and they were so spot on. I just can't, there's no way that you can falsify that, or make it up.
I don't know you.
Right.
The best thing about soul realignment is that the place I'm the most accurate is people I don't know at all.
Right. That's well, cool. I mean, so accurate. Oh my goodness. And I know that's only the beginning. So I'm just, it felt very good to like hear somebody like understand what I'm feeling, because I do feel kind of alone a lot, because I realize that I see things kind of weird. I guess I'm just gonna.
You see things like the problem is that you see things accurately.
I don't really necessarily think it's weird.
You see things accurately. It's just not common knowledge.
Right. I do. I have a tendency to see this point of view, but from all, like, everybody's point of view at the same time. So it's like I have this weird, like, I don't know how to explain it. I have a weird eagle eye view of things sometimes, and so it just makes sense to me. So, but nobody likes that, and nobody understands it. And sometimes I didn't really even understand it, but the way that you put it was just so spot on, and it was so helpful to hear it. And now that you see that, I see like how that kind of has set a stage for who I am, but I see how I can honor that, but also I have choices, right? And I don't know, it just changed. I'm excited.
And that's the whole point.
I have so many questions.
Well, for me, I always felt really misunderstood. I've always felt really misunderstood, and I always felt really unheard and unseen. Well, unheard. And when she started to tell me mine, it just validated everything that I felt all my life and everything that I've thought all my life. And it made me feel really good to know that I always felt like I was wrong, or made to feel like I was wrong for the things I thought. And it really, really felt good to know that I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. I was really feeling that, and it was really real for me. And I was on my right track. And nobody just could, nobody, their misunderstanding was because they couldn't I don't know. What do you say about
They're
that?
not,
Like,
they're
I
not,
still
they're
feel kind
not
of
in a
misunderstood.
place.
When
It's the thing about perspective is that, and especially as it pertains to the evolution of the soul, perspective is everything. And so when somebody can't, literally doesn't have the ears to hear what you have to say, they literally don't. And it happens at the level of like oscillation within the brain. It is so fascinating to me to know that trauma can be resolved at the level of the mental mind, but not be resolved at the level of the brain and the body. And so we have so much to explore there. We have so much to open in that space. To see them both as the same is, in my opinion, inaccurate. It doesn't exist in neuroscience because the brain is one organ. So like from the standpoint of neuroscience, depression is end stage anxiety, period.
Wow.
Because your brain is just running on this energy, and it's wasting all this energy. It's not efficient at all. And
Anxiety.
pardon me? Say it again.
Did you say it's end stage anxiety?
It's end
stage.
anxiety. Depression is end stage anxiety. When you no longer have the body's ability to produce anxiety. And that happens at certain oscillations within the brain, at certain places within the brain. And so when you can no longer maintain that energy state of whatever, you enter into depression because your body is literally trying to recover. And that's why it's putting you in your butt. It wants you to get well. The whole point is to be well enough to then change your thinking, change your actions, change everything else. But the body can't do that by itself. And when it's a non-verbal cue from your brainstem or from past trauma that's not resolved, you can't access it always from talk therapy. You can't access it always from a standpoint of psychotherapy or even psychiatry, because it lives in the part of your brain that doesn't have language. It literally lives in your central nervous system. So for people that have addiction, it makes sense. You have a dysregulated immune system, or you have a dysregulated central nervous system. You live in the sympathetic nervous system. You don't get in the parasympathetic nervous system very often, which is the rest and digest, which is the place that you heal. And if you can't get there and you chronically live in the sympathetic nervous system, well, then you're always in a state of agitation, even when you're trying to rest. And that's important to understand, because when you know that your tendency is to go towards the sympathetic, then you can take extra precaution to get into the parasympathetic, right? You can kind of outdo yourself in so to speak. But until you understand that your trauma has a nonverbal influence
There's
into
a
your
man.
body.
I'm sorry. I feel like there's a.
Does this make
You guys
sense what
hear
I'm
that?
saying though?
There's a presence
What?
somewhere.
Yeah, it does.
I
It
feel
does.
very
So,
strong.
that we got like I got like a huge voice that came in right now.
Do you feel?
But I understand what you were saying.
It's
Well,
important.
I was
It's
trying to hear
important
her
for
really
people to
hard.
understand that, because a lot of times then
feel
people
safe.
will say, well, I want to make this change, but I can't make it. And then they feel bad and they feel guilty and they feel shame.
Mm-hmm. And then they give up.
Which is not going to ever allow them to feel what they want to feel, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because the minute that you attach self-worth to what you're doing is the minute that you fuck it up.
Yes.
Right.
Because we're
Yes.
all worthy. We're all worthy, full
Right.
stop. We're all worthy, from the greatest to the least. We're all
Yep.
worthy. But it's not a meritocracy of worthiness. It's a meritocracy of readiness. You have to have the experiences that allow
Right.
you a higher perspective because you choose it. And as you choose it,
Right.
you receive divine inspiration, divine knowledge, divine everything to be able to continue forward. But if you're not in a state of open receiving, then you can't receive it. If you think
Total
that
block.
I'm a bad person, you won't receive it.
Right.
And that's the wrong message to send to anybody. I don't care what your discipline is. If at the end of the day you feel like a bad person, then I would offer that your religion is not teaching you the right thing, because that's not the point.
Right.
I went to college at the University of St. Catherine's, which is the Sisters of the Croix de Lay. I studied the canonization of the Bible from them, which was
Wow.
not the official
That's
view.
pretty special.
Well, that's just not quite the official view of the Pope. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I know, but that's a lot
Right?
though. That's something though. I
And
think it's
and
even,
and that's what I love about them, is that they're like, yeah, we're Catholic and we're all sisters, but we got our own thing going on. And they're
Mhm.
the Sisters of Croix de Lay are the creators of Healing Touch as well,
Ooh, cool.
Oh,
the whole
Very
modality.
cool.
And so they're really powerful women that didn't let a patriarchal religion define them.
Oh,
And that's where I
amazing.
graduated. And that's where I graduated college from.
Wow, you got a lot.
with a lot of women who just had the ability to choose for themselves. And when you get to the point of choosing for your own soul sovereignty, that's unending abundance. It is, because your whole purpose is to continue to be able to create experience where you experience your own divine abundance.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Period.
Like,
And that's not selfish.
always have everything.
That is not selfish. That is beautiful. That is needed in this world. Those inspirations, that beautiful understanding of the alchemy of intent and action at the same time.
I love
Intent
it.
and action.
I love how you have knowledge of that. Like, okay, so like I love how every religion has a little bit of truth, has truth to it. Not even a little bit. Every religion has truth to it. Not one is the one truth, but I believe all of them have their contributions to the truth. And I love just that idea. And that you went to that college and learned that I feel like that is very, I feel like that should be recognized. It's pretty cool.
I see them as faces of divinity, honestly.
Right.
Just
Right.
because I'm not familiar with them doesn't make them any less holy.
Mhm.
Honestly,
Right.
it drives
That's
me
why
bananas.
I've had my
Go
first
ahead.
husband was Mormon, and I had to do all the talks. And a lot of religions, they want you to say that this religion is the one and only true church, and I can't say that. I can't say that about anything. So the only thing that I know is that there is a creator. I know that, and I know that that we matter, and that we are part of something. All of us, everybody, everything that we see, even the darkness, is part of the same light. So
Okay, so let me ask you this, honey.
it's just, to me, it's like, okay.
Suzanne, how much did you share with her the things that I shared with you?
Nothing.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, nothing. Just
Okay.
you had a rough time with your mom. Yeah.
No.
But-
I'm more talking about the
Oh, the soul realignment stuff.
yeah. The
Susie.
soul that where I sent
Yeah.
you
Well,
the pictures of what I charted.
Oh, I told her
okay,
a
I
little
didn't
bit
see.
about how the homework is going to work, like the thing that she's going to be reading
Well,
every day, and I told her
Okay,
a
so
little
let
bit
me
about the video, but not. I didn't explain the video.
so let
and
me
I
let
haven't
me explain.
had a chance.
So Jara,
Okay.
everything that you're talking about from a standpoint of not truly understanding the experience.
Mhm.
You're a divine being,
Okay.
full stop. Start there.
Right.
But
Okay.
like
It
really
gets
start
better.
really start there. Really start there. So
What do you mean?
I was raised, so for me, when I put together this, I guess you could call it a map. Would that be a good example of it,
I would say,
Suzanne? Map?
yeah.
I put together this map of basically divine understanding. Okay.
Okay.
At the end of it, you can't not know you're a divine being. You just can't not.
Okay.
Because as you're saying the things that you're saying, what's lacking in that conversation is the divine brilliance behind it. The ecstatic joy that comes from saying that to somebody and hoping that they truly connect to their divinity.
So, like, what do you mean? Do you mean?
Okay, so I'll explain it like this. How much do you and I want to be famous? Zero.
Zero.
Who wants to be famous? Miss Chattybox over there. This one.
Yep. I'm trying to point at you,
Right?
but it's yeah. There we go.
Right. Would either of you wish anything differently for her? Would either one of us wish anything differently for her? No, of course not.
Never.
Because we can see that it would be in her own divine benefit to do that.
Right. Right.
But we don't hold ourselves in that same regard.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I do. Do I not? Maybe I don't.
You don't because you're not living your divinity for the benefit and the comfort of the people around you that you want to protect, quote unquote.
I'm kind of waiting to live it. I am. I mean, I feel like I can't do that yet.
Right, because darling, this is the shitty part. This is the shitty part. You're letting somebody else's comfort dictate your divinity.
I know I'm doing that.
And we all do that,
right,
at times.
And I'm choosing.
So
and we all do that. The
Right.
whole point of it, though, is for you to understand that as a divine being, it's not necessary.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Right? When we do
Right.
not honor ourselves as divine beings, or we don't honor, even if somebody else's bullshit is bullshit,
Right.
you can still say it's bullshit.
Right. And I mean, because you're right. I've never thought about that. It doesn't have to be me necessarily. I don't have to give up my. I don't know why I never thought about it like that. Wow. Yeah. You bring up a good point there, Paula.
Yeah, well, she has a lot of good points
I guess
that we never even thought of before.
Huh. Yeah.
That was really good. That gave me chills.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, I'm red. So it's funny because I have these weird physical tells. Like when I hit truth, or if I'm feeling like something or whatever. I have physical things that happen that I know, and one of them is I get red. Like when I hit truth, that is kind of like I feel kind of silly because I'd never thought about that. but I understand, and that is something that I need to think on more, for sure, because I get what you mean, and I do that a lot. I think where I really think that I am like whatever, but I'm not. I do that a lot.
So would one way of recognizing yourself and honoring your, what's meant for your, your divine self, would that be like, and not living for somebody else's, would that be like being strong enough to, okay, so a lot of us, me, for all of my life until I was like 37, did everything for my mother, nothing for me. If my mother wasn't happy, I was.
understand.
That's how. Yeah. So that was not living in the way that what how did you call it? My divine self. Recognizing
your
my
divine
divine
self.
self.
You're in your divine frequencies.
I was not recognizing mine. Was I recognizing my mom by doing that, or what was happening? I don't think anybody was getting a service from that.
And so then when she passed and you guys made peace, she in part made peace with the energy you gave her over your lifetime. Right?
Yeah.
Because you wanted it more than she did. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful of your position to your mother, but it's an energetic fact when one person is stronger than the other in a certain space, that the stronger person will win out, which may not work out the way that they want, right? Because it ends up in dependency. And so when you have energetic dependency, you have to look at it carefully. If it's inappropriate, so energetic dependency between parent and child is understandable. When you have a parent like mine that was a sociopath and a psychopath, that energetic bullshit sucks ass. Because I can tolerate a lot of bullshit because I had to in order to keep her safe enough to even operate, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It took me until I was 53 to understand that I was not her, and I did not do to my children what she did to me. And it's their love that protected me because I am a good mom. I love my children unconditionally. There's pretty much nothing I won't do for them. They know this. They abuse this on occasion. But it's for all three of them, right? I've had to go to war for all three of them on more than one occasion.
I like the way that you do things. You break things down in a way that I can understand them. And that's important to me, as you told me, as you apparently found out through whatever magic it is you're doing there. Yes, things have to make sense to me. So if she is something that I'm telling you is uncanny, then everybody, it's uncanny because I'm a very much a person where you cannot talk me into anything. You just can't. You just can't. And I didn't realize how often
you can't.
Things don't make sense.
I've tried to talk her into things a lot.
She does. Suzanne, that's why she just resorts to not telling me and tries to like kind of push.
Suzanne, I feel like you have more questions.
I do. I have.
Go for it.
I do. I would like for you to tell us how the series goes, the process, like the steps and what each step does.
So when you get involved in soul realignment, your first awareness and understanding is that every action you take has an energetic consequence. So, for example, if you're a super independent person and you are making your choices out of obligation, that's going to energetically not be a space of empowerment for you, period, no matter how you slice it.
Right.
Now, for me personally,
Mhm.
I am a person of manifestation. So when I have a commitment, I take it seriously. If I had my way, my children would live in the cul-de-sac. We would all have our own houses. We would all live in the cul-de-sac. So far, nobody is taking me up on my offer, but I'm just going to say it's going to stay there for a while. But
Just wait. Maybe one day they will. They'll be like, yes, that's a good idea.
I can hope, right? I can hope. But the whole point, though, is to be in alignment so that it offers alignment and abundance for yourself, and then you have that abundance and to be able to offer to others, right?
Right.
That's the whole point. Nobody wants to enjoy their success by themselves. They want to enjoy their success by being able to pay it forward. And you pay it
Right.
forward by honoring those lines of engagement that bring people to empowerment versus bringing them to their negative ego and bringing them to a space of disempowerment. And educating
Right.
people on discernment and judgment, I think, is necessary, because we don't have to like what somebody else does. As long as we can respect it, then we all have free will,
Mhm.
and then we all have free speech, period.
Right.
That needs to be heard, everybody. That just needs to be
Right.
heard.
I think that there people are afraid if they think on something that means that they're a traitor, or they're betraying something else that they're supposed to believe in. Like they don't discern, I think, a lot of times, because they feel like they're betraying something by just even considering something different.
Correct.
And so if people could let go of that feeling that you're betraying anything, because just thinking on something or learning about something is not committing to anybody. Like you're not ever putting like a firm forever stamp on yourself.
Nope.
All that does though is empower you with knowledge, of different things. And
And that's honestly, that's why I chose soul realignment, is because it was a knowledge based, specific, action oriented psychic discipline.
Right.
I was looking for, how am I empowered to make these decisions for my kids who are so sick that Western medicine doesn't have anything. I've got one kid who's got 7 surgeries and they still can't tell me why he needs more ear surgeries. Well,
Right.
if I do this, this, and this, and they're like, well, we can't tell you that. And I'm like, well, okay, well, all right, this sucks. So
Yeah.
I got involved with psychic mediumship, honestly, to be able to understand what was going to be working for my children and how I was going to make them better in their health. And
May I ask why you were there?
that's why I got involved in the first place. I had no idea that it would revolutionize my own life. I had no idea that I would have to go through 4 years of major, healing, which was not comfortable and resulted in a lot of ending of relationships that sadly needed to be ended. And this is something that's important for people to hear. The ending of a relationship can be as spiritual as being compassionate and not ending one. So if it's dissonant and it doesn't work, it's just not going to work, no matter how you dress it up. Lipstick on a pig is still lipstick on a pig,
Right.
So understanding and learning to discern what energetic frequencies benefit me to learn to act upon. How do I make this work for me? How do I experience my own divinity in a space where it's just been stinky for a while? That takes ownership in a way that can be very hard for some people. But once you understand how to do that and not blame anybody else and not put yourself down at the same time, ownership does not mean that you put yourself down.
Right.
Ownership means understanding that I choose not to engage in this frequency anymore. That's ownership.
Mhm.
Right. Oh my God.
And when you own that, you see every problem, you realize there's nothing that you can't get out of.
Bing, bing, bing. Yes.
So
And
that is
so
a
you
very good
you
tool.
must meet yourself where you are to be able to heal step by step. You must meet yourself where you are to be able to do that. There isn't another way to do it. There's no spiritual bypass. There's no free lunch. And I
Right.
wish there was, because if there was, I'd have fucking found it. Promise you.
Right. Because it ain't pretty. Like healing is necessary whenever you're learning a healing modality. You have to heal first, and it ain't pretty. And
Right.
but it is beautiful. Isn't that weird? That's it ain't pretty, but it
And
is
people
beautiful.
that are having a hard time letting go of judgments of other people, just remember that every judgment you hold on to, you also are like judging yourself in a way. You're making it to where you're going to be judging yourself because you're putting that judgment on that like thing or that
So
event.
this is where Jara has jumped to the end because she's
Oh.
divine wisdom. Because this shit, I'm going to tell you, this shit's on the final, FYI.
Okay.
How you judge other people is how you will judge your own soul when you die.
Mm.
Think about the grace that you have been able to give your mother to understand that as she held that judgment, she was judging herself, and how grateful she is for your grace and your understanding that she didn't know that.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. That probably helps a lot. It's probably helping her a lot right now.
Right.
It is, because then she has the opportunity to not have to overcome your negative judgment of her in order to access her own divinity, which by karma, she would have an issue with.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're welcome, Mom.
So, right. This is why we don't hold judgment against other people. The shit's on the fucking final. So don't.
Right.
Right. Discernment that that's not right for me and that looks fucked up is one thing. Judging that person as less than you, never appropriate.
Right.
Because it's not.
And
God doesn't make junk. God does not make junk. Period.
Nope.
Right. Right. So like like if you could give me an example of what you, when you say I physically want to do it for them, do you mean when like,
Okay, so I would offer, Jara, that you don't know that you are a physical presence for many people. Is that accurate?
I know I am a physical presence. I think, what does that mean? That I physically, like people count on me physically to be there? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Like you're the person that they count on to show up physically. Not only that,
I'm that for like a bunch of people.
right. And you're also the strong presence that people rely on. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's all well and good. But what I see is that availability that you have to others, you don't have that well of availability to yourself.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's absolutely
true. And because you have so much like just base wisdom, because it's your energy center and it's your soul group of origination. Like you got double whammied on that. So you're like wisdom squared. Okay. So shit that doesn't make sense is just not ever gonna fucking make sense. So don't try. If it doesn't make sense to you, just go. There's a reason it doesn't make sense to me, and I'll figure out something else. Because that's what's accurate. It is you often, and like myself as well, I look to another person and like, oh, they must know what they're doing. No, they don't.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
And
but the beauty of that is that when your intention for your action becomes more concise and accurately reflects your divinity, there is no mistaking the abundance that comes from it. Full stop.
Right.
And that is the alchemical beauty, because you know what? We are no different from the trees or the plants or the animals or the stars or the universe or anything else around us. We are unique in our own consciousness.
All the time, I have like one thing that happened when Susie hypnotized me is like, I don't know, she opened something because just ideas and like just all kinds of stuff just started like literally flies through my head all the time like crazy. And so I need to get a tape recorder because I have thoughts. And like a little bit ago, you actually said like what I was thinking earlier. And so I need to start documenting and recording when I'm thinking things, because that's weird. You said the words I was thinking.
But what's so cool is that you're talking about woodworking and I'm getting into woodworking. But if you're pissy,
I think that's a good way to tell, because
cool if you find somebody
explain dissonant energy and
different types of energy. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Dissonant energy is energy that you engage in that is terminal. So it relies on a negative emotional energy that has not been processed, that has to be re-experienced again and again to regain its emotional power. The problem is that people stay in a state of emotional conflict instead of choosing a state of emotional resolution. But you have to know what you're experiencing in order to resolve it.
So like
there's
they stay angry.
Correct. So they might not know how to get rid of being angry, say, at their parent for XYZ. Well, that's because they were the ones who agreed to their parents' terms in the first place.
Okay.
And so until they can like acknowledge their own space within it, they can't actually harness the benefit of it. And that's the whole point of soul sovereignty, is to harness your own personal responsibility for what you want and what you want to change, what you want to experience and what you want to change.
Yes.
Right.
You get that? I got that. You have to see where you allowed. You can't. So everybody in this world right now has a big old freaking boner for blame.
Correct.
And this is such a bad problem. So if you're, as long as you're blaming, you're never going to get in alignment at all.
We've never been taught to do anything else. The system of things has been built on avoiding taking responsibility. Unfortunately,
our current justice system is built on a toxic masculine aspect of justice. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, might can't continue to overcome might without there being massive problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Massive imbalances. Right. Mm-hmm. Divine feminine doesn't require being greater than.
Right.
And we are lucky to be in that aspect, I think, at this time in our life.
Right.
To be conscious beings during the rise of the divine feminine, I think is a good idea. I think it's a unique opportunity.
Like we are living in a very, very, very interesting. Well, we've lived in many interesting times, so so never mind.
Well, it was look back at it, our generation. Our generation has witnessed some of the most profound transformations.
And they, most of our generation doesn't even realize they've witnessed most of them. That's the crazy part. People, there's so much that people still don't see. And like Paula, I think you're going to be the type of person, and you, Susie, both of you guys, what you do, help people go inward to learn about themselves, because you really can't learn anything from this world. I just want to make that very clear. If it is accurate that I do have divine wisdom, then I'm telling you right now that pretty much everything that the world comes in at you with is like bullshit. So you have to
This is why I love her, because she can't help not being who she is.
I can't.
Yeah. And what's really sad is that all of our lives, we've always had some or more than one people around us that are trying to prevent us from that. And so that makes it, made it difficult. We always prevail, but for them, the people, you know, because they're never going to get what they want. They're never going to get us to not be the way we are.
I would also offer this. When you are looking for how to express yourself as a divine being, you have to have some type of knowledge. So however you seek that, do you seek that through your priest? Do you seek that through a soul realignment practitioner? Do you receive that through, a friend? People have to define that for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But the whole point is to create from that space of love.
Right. And I feel like there's so much divinity around me that's where I go for my knowledge, and I get it, little pieces from everywhere, from everyone, even from people that don't realize anything about anything at all. Like they teach us.
And there is people that don't have an awareness, and they don't realize anything about anything at all, but that's what they're here for, and it kind of like it's their link for the people that do have awareness to see that. And I don't know how do I explain.
Right. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying.
I would offer it like this: whatever consciousness they carry or do not carry, they will carry that energy regardless to the next person. And the next person gets to decide, conscious or not, can do, can't do. And it goes that way because when it's available, it's available.
Right.
Consciousness that is available now, we have not had previously. So in a patriarchal religion, you had to be worthy. In a matriarchal religion, you just have to be ready. That's two different things.
Wow, that's a good. I like the way you put that.
And Jara, it could even go farther than that into the things that you're very, very interested in right now. Like, how people are saying things are happening with the earth, pole shifts and that and stuff.
Right.
This is shifting too. We're shifting from that patriarchal to
yes, we are. It's important to understand. Yes, it's important to understand that in the space of sovereignty.
I really do feel like we all like kind of chose to be here and going through this.
Yes, we did.
Coming to like rescue it because the school's open on purpose because we built it so we could go to school. So why would we just have somebody come and rescue us from the school that we purposely are attending? That we just forgot that we are purposely attending it. Something.
And the other place is that when people say that Earth is, it's like soul school. Well, yeah, yes and no, because learning is not mandatory.
Right.
So it's not really school. It's more like experience. Until you choose otherwise, it's the experience that you choose. Just saying.
True. I like that.
Oh, wait a minute. So because I'm one of those people that think the earth is school, but I think that you just plugged something in for me. You said that it's not there until you're ready, until you're here to learn from it. And some people, it's not their journey yet.
No. And you don't have to learn from it. You just have to experience it. What you do with it is up to you. You don't have to learn from it.
The two things that you said, like you said that I kind of got it squared. Can you talk about those again? So there's a soul archetype and a soul. Can you say those two things again?
Okay. So your soul group of origination is Arcturus. Arcturus. And in general, Arcturians are the embodiment of divine wisdom because they can't not be. It's who their planet fucking is.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
I actually have a couple of questions.
Of course it is a couple of questions. I'm kidding.
first question. So what would you say about like the importance of engaging like with others in like, I don't know, I guess in the living true to yours, because it seems like we need others. And some people just think that, you know, that they don't, or that they can do everything on their own, or that they're supposed to, or how do you feel about that?
I think it depends on the person. And I'll tell you why. Some people need to be around other people, and some people just need to be around themselves.
Right.
And you don't know until you read that person's soul. So I can't give advice one way or the other, because my whole
It could be
discipline
possible
says,
that their soul just, that's what their thing is, and they're not like,
right.
that's just,
Here's what I'll say. If you're doing your own thing, but you're in an energetic shitstorm, maybe look at what you're doing.
Right.
If it's in your life, you have to deal with it, full stop. And you have some frequency that has that in your life because it's showing up in your life, full stop.
Right.
That's the problem. People
Right.
are like, well, I didn't want that. Well, I'm not saying you wanted that, but some part of you had that frequency because it's
That's
there.
what you got.
Mhm.
That's just
Right.
the way it is.
No, that
Right?
makes
Well,
sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So you know what? That can come all the way around to that thing that I always tell my clients about listening to the cues that your mind and your body and your spirit give you. Listen to those cues. When you don't listen to those cues, then you're going to find yourself in a fucked up situation or something fucked up happening or something that you don't like. So that's where that comes in. Like,
I just
if
see
you
a
are
lot
a
of
person that's all alone
people
all the time, and then you feel something messed up happening in your life, take a look at it. Maybe there's a place where you're not having, something. Maybe there's a place where you shouldn't be. Maybe you should check it out, experiment a little bit. See, maybe somebody in your life could help, or maybe you have too many people in your life and you're experiencing it. So you gotta.
the bottom line is that if you're experiencing things in your life that cause you anxiety, worry, trigger your trauma for whatever reason, and when you learn to understand that trauma is not only what happens to the mind, but also what happens to the brain.
right.
Trauma is a severe incident of abuse or assault, whatever the reason. And I say that because I want the reason to be generic. It doesn't matter the reason. It matters the impact on the person.
Yes.
Right. And so the younger you are, the less access you have to language. Language develops on the right side of your brain, not on the left. So if you have developmental trauma, you have trauma that is not well accessed through the language of talk therapy. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because really where your trauma lies is between your brainstem and your central nervous system. So even though you can talk it out and you can understand it at the level of the mental aspect, and it can influence that, it doesn't resolve it until you take other action. And that can be neurofeedback, and that can be other types of therapy. Maybe it's, hypnotherapy, like Suzanne does,
Oh,
because she's accessing a different aspect of your brain that didn't have language before.
oh, so like the trauma from that I may have had from like being in Euro, if my mother went through anything,
Yes.
or
She would be able to help you access that. And the beauty of that is that then you access that from your higher self, and you are in a position like you see it
above, like
above.
when I'm in my dream.
Right.
Right.
That's
I'm a
cool.
flyer. I fly in my dreams because I can
And
see
for
things.
me,
Because
and
I
for
lose
me,
my car in my dreams a lot, and I fly to try to find my car.
the cool thing for me is that just being able to access Suzanne's voice, I was able to regress my own awful memories that needed to come out.
Right.
And when they did, they flowed out of me in a way that I just didn't even know possible. But that was made possible because of the work I did with Suzanne.
Right.
Right. So when you understand how to access your divinity, you understand how to access it for yourself in all realms, regardless of what it looks like.
Right.
And I needed that because I needed to hear my own voice. I needed to hear my own story on it and what my self beyond my consciousness remembered of my childhood. It was imperative for me. Otherwise, I would have always been vulnerable to another person who understood my trauma and who could use it against me.
Back to the map of the things that you
I'm
sent
lagging
me.
again. I don't know if that's just me or.
Oh, I don't know. But
I
back
think
to
you're
the
okay.
map that you sent me with all of the stuff on it. When I read it, I mean, there's pages, okay? So each page that I read, as I read it, I wrote down what my thoughts on it and then would call her or send her that page. And there was just so much discovery and so much, it just resonated. It was like putting puzzle pieces together. And I think that that's the definition of like soul realignment. It was like it's like putting puzzle pieces together for you. And
I would agree.
It's made me feel like I'm at my peak of a lot of things. It's made me do really well at my job. It's made me actually feel like even a better mother. I feel like I'm the best version of myself because of the understanding that it brought me. And I'm not even done yet. I still have parts of it to do. Can you imagine? So I really suggest anybody that wants to be
sorry guys, I know what happened for some reason my internet connection changed. So
it's okay.
It back.
I think if you're interested, I think everybody should Google it, go down the rabbit hole, see what's up, and then contact Paula.
It's really a discipline based in frequency. And when you learn how to see the frequency of what you're looking at around you, the personal frequency and the universal frequency, it changes everything.
And frequency is everything.
And frequency is everything. The reason that frequency is the language of light is because it's true in all three dimensions. You have sacred geometry for a reason, right? Frequency at the level of thought is mental thought forms, and frequency at the level of spirit is another thing entirely. So when you learn to understand those three aspects of it, then you're in mastery.
Yes, people, mastery, self-mastery. So
Self-mastery. That's the whole point of Christ consciousness, is to know yourself as a divine being. That's my own definition of it. That Christ consciousness, that the second coming of Christ is that we are all Christ.
Yep, we are.
And that we then approach our life accordingly because we are divine beings. So I would like to see more divinity in my world, not less. So if I act in my own divinity, then I will spread that.
And this is how the world will change.
Yes. Yes. And it's not because I tell you what to do. It's because you discover what your own divinity is and you share it with others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the beauty is that you discover yourself in this. I'm not asking you to believe me out of faith. I'm asking you to experience it so that you know it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's two different things.
It brings believing in yourself to a whole nother level.
Correct. You're not believing in yourself. You're experiencing yourself and you're knowing yourself. And that belief is unshakable. That belief is not undoable. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You can't undo knowing yourself.
No, you can't unknow yourself.
Right. Correct. And that's only going to benefit you at every level of your being, no matter whether it's in this consciousness or any aspect of your soul. Period.
Empowering. I mean, it's more than empowering. What's a stronger word for empowering? I don't know, but it's more than that.
Alignment. Luckiest, I want a shirt that says luckiest woman aligned.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
Because you choose it. You choose to be aligned. You choose to be who you are. You choose your divinity.
Mm-hmm. That's the journey. That's the journey. You choose it and you come and you figure it out.
As you're saying, because my computer is so bad right now. I don't know. It's like chopping up.
So I want to try and wrap this up, but I really want Paula to give us her website to anybody that's interested and would like to talk to her.
I actually don't go to soulrealignment.com and look at Andrea Hess.
Okay.
And look at what she has to offer. Go on her website to find a soul realignment practitioner if you're so interested.
It does. It has a catalog.
Right. Go play with your divinity. That's the whole point.
Explore, experience. Because, you know how Jara always says what we're supposed to do.
I know.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to explore and experience and expand. The 3 E's, everybody.
That's right.
Experience and expand. Well, I can't thank you enough for all you've done, Paula, and thank you for taking the time to do this 500 times that we did.
Again, Paula.
We'll do it again. I can't wait.
And I want to have you on again.
Bye. Okay.
Bye. Bye.
All right, everybody.
Bye.
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 That was
Bye.
great. Thank you.